G'day guys, so today we are talking about the Supernated Barbell Row. The Supernated grip, what we need to know is there are three ways to do a row. We have our pronated, which is our hands over the top of the bar. We have our neutral, which is probably most likely handles. Machines are predominantly neutral grip. And then we also have our supinated grip, which is underneath the bar. Best way to remember supination is that we are holding a soup bowl. We would go underneath the soup bowl. Right. Why would we use a supinated grip? Personally, I believe it's the best way to engage all of your back muscles. I think it's the safest and it promotes probably the best retraction process out of them all. Pronation and neutral grip are just as effective. However, when it comes to supination, you can really dig in deep and go straight into those hips. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Why would we use it? Again, it's a big overall back developer. Because we are pulling low to our hips, we are getting a lot of lats involved, and also because of the retraction, we're getting a lot of scapular retraction, which means our traps, our rhomboids, and potentially our rear delts are all at play as well. So it's a very good overall back developer. When it comes to position of your hands, the first point you want to do, we're actually going to come in nice and tight, and we're going to have our pinky along where the knurl goes smooth. So the rough point and then the smooth point, we want to have that point there. Now ideally I would get you to be facing towards the rack rather than walking out with the bar, and the reason being is because as you fatigue, it is easier to rack the bar where you can see rather than stepping back and trying to feel for the hooks. So again, we're going to wrap our pinkies around. Now it's at this point that we want to lock up our back first, because we're going to move into a half deadlift position. So as we know with our back, we always want to create stability through the scapula, because the scapula is predominantly where we are going to be rowing from. Again, every row wants to pull you into this position here. We need to pull back and down. So grab a hold of the bar, shoulder blades go back and down, stand up nice and tall. We'll take our little steps, ideally backwards, but in this case we're going forwards. And now we're set into our position. This is what we call the fall, right? When we fall down, we want to hit marker 1. Our marker 1, or let's talk about the fall first. The fall is a half deadlift position. So when you come out and your shoulder blades are back and down, we need to shore up our feet and our knees to go out just like we would with a half deadlift. So we're coming out and we're screwing our feet into the ground. We're placing the weight to the outside of the foot. Our knees are going to track out. We're going to pull our shoulder blades back and down, and we're going to hip hinge. And this is what I call marker 1. Let's firstly talk about the hip hinge. For those who don't know what a hip hinge is, it's the ability to take your hips out and come back in. Best way to practice this is to stand next to a rack or a bar and think about just touching your backside on the rack. Take a few little millimeters out, go again, touch, come forward. Another way to remember it is that there is a button behind your bum and you have to push the button in. Right. So shoulder blades back and down. Little steps, ideally backwards, but in this case we're going forwards. Screw our feet in, knees go out. Hitting marker 1. The reason why that is marker 1 and the bar must hit marker 1 each time is because as we go on through the lifts, fatigue will kick in, and naturally what's going to happen is we're going to want to come up and up and up. And now if I retract from here versus retract from here, you can see that the range of motion and the retraction isn't as great. So if we set our marker just below our kneecaps then we can always hit that full retraction. We're always getting that full range and coming through. It'll also give you a good gauge as to whether or not the weight is far too heavy, far too light. For those who have lower back issues, when we're down this low, it's because our feet aren't screwed in and our glutes aren't on. When we screw our feet in and our knees go out, automatically our glutes come on. That'll take predominantly most of the load and draw it away from your lower back and into your glutes. So let's put this all together. Pinkies are going to go on the inside of the nail, shoulder blades are going to come back and down, and we're going to walk our way out. We're going to screw our feet in, we're going to hip hinge out down to marker 1. Marker 1 will then come into marker 2. Let's talk about marker 2. Marker 2 is the bottom section of your hips. We are pulling low. Again, where you pull will be where you engage. Now you can probably use this as a upper back upper back tool to grow your upper back. You can pull a little bit higher. Ideally, I aim for the hips or the belly button. That is where I get the most retraction and the most overall gain through my lats and my traps. However, you can pull a little bit higher up to your top ab, and that'll also probably work a great deal of the amount of your back. So depends what you want out of this exercise. If you want an overall back builder, then by all means pull between probably your belly button and your hips. If you want to work just your upper back and develop those rear delts, those traps and rhomboids, then by all means pull a little bit higher. So going through shoulder blades back and down, pinkies are on the knurl, and we're standing tall. A few little steps, ideally backwards, but we're coming forwards on this particular case. Screw our feet in, wait for the outside of the feet, knees go out. We're going to hip hinge down to marker 1. From here, I'm going to pull to my belly button, and that there is your supinated row. And we are squeezing our back again, always hitting back down to marker 1. So marker 1, marker 2, marker 1, marker 2. And we are pulling through each time. Once you're done, re-rack. And the reason why we're at this height is because it is a lot easier after you've come to exhaustion to do a hip hinge and stand up using your legs and your glutes and so on and your posterior chain than it is to try and put it back down and enter this position. So I would suggest doing this from the top down rather than trying to fall to get into position at the bottom and try and row up from that position. That there, team, is how you do your supinated barbell row.